What's up, everybody? We're back with another episode of High Above Courtside. I'm your host, Anthony. There's co-host Steve, and we got our first guest alert. This is Joel from Blue Sky, and thanks for joining us, Joel.
Absolutely.
Guys, it's official. We got Celtics-Knicks, second round matchup. Knicks wrapped up the Pistons last night in 6 games. Another epic collapse from Detroit.
Brutal.
Brunson with the game winner, and the Knicks got what they wanted. They built this roster to beat the Celtics, and they're going to have to prove it this round. Joel, what are your initial thoughts on the Celtics-Knicks matchup?
Well, I think it's probably the matchup secretly Celtics wanted. I think it's a breath of fresh air after going against Orlando, and the defense. It's just a different, it's just a completely different page they can turn. The schemes, the matchups, the physicality. So I think they were, they won't admit it, but I think they were probably happy to get this. Detroit is just a little younger, more aggressive. Probably it would have been, a similar sort of matchup that Orlando given. This is probably a little, different.
I'd have to agree with that. We all know the Celtics went 4-0 against the Knicks. I'm pretty sure they opened up at -900 in this one to beat them. So that's pretty crazy. I guess the betting odds are heavily tilted in our favor. But just to get into the numbers a little bit for us, just to set the playing field, the Boston had a 130 offensive rating in the 4 games combined against the Knicks, a 113 defensive rating. So that's a plus 17 points through 100 possessions for you mathematicians out there. And another one that I think is kind of skewed a bit because Mitchell Robinson wasn't playing in 3 out of the 4 games, but Celtics grabbed 52% of available rebounds. So we kind of dominate the glass there, but that's going to be something to look for, especially with Hot in the playoffs as well. Every possession, he's like super competitive. He's trying to crash boards, and then Mitchell Robinson's a beast down there. So depending on true situation and everything like that, boards is going to be a big issue for us. So we just want to pay attention to that. And then just to get into Celtics starters a bit, because obviously with Drew, like I said, we don't know where he's at right now. So Celtics starters, KP, Tatum, Brown, White, and I'm drawing a blank.
Horford?
No, who am I missing? Did I get everybody else? Oh, Drew. Yes. So yeah. Drew, they're plus 14 in 31 minutes. Now you sub Alb for KP. That's a plus 42 net in 17 minutes with a 163 offensive rating. So what we're really going to be putting in there is going to be doing great on offense. Obviously, Al helps us with the switching and stuff like that. Brunson likes to go at KP a little bit, so that's why I think that number is a little bit down. But so far, as we saw throughout the season and what the numbers are showing us, it's pretty good for us.
Yeah, I mean, so to go into the Knicks Pistons series, the Pistons fun team. I think we're all fans of what they did this year, but my God, I mean, the struggle the Knicks had with that team when they're rolling out guys like Tim Hardaway Jr. and Tobias Harris in 2025, and now to go into the second round matchup when you're facing real wings with the Jays. You got KP, you got Drew. It's just I don't see a way that they can win 4 out of 7 against this team. I mean, outside of shooting variance for me, which we'll give it to the Knicks are a high-powered offense. They're going to score points against us, but there's just too many holes on that defense. And I mean, the Pistons to me are a team that don't really even have the personnel to exploit it. And they were still, I mean, all 6 of those games came down to the last 2 or 3 minutes, if not the last 30 seconds of the game. So, I mean, I have trouble seeing where the Knicks get this to even a 6-game series.
I think the one thing that the Knicks give is some obvious targets. Like, I mean, there's the Cat and Brunson are both going to be out there, and just it's an easy. I mean, from the jump, it's an easy thing to say. Okay, we're going to put those guys into action. and Tatum just lights up when he gets Cat. You know, he draws him out. He can go by. You know, so this is going to be a big Tatum series. I think. You know, he's going to be able to get what he wants, and for whatever reason, he seems to really relish the going against both of their wings. I don't know if it's just you know, he feels like they've loaded up specifically for him or whatever, but he's just in the regular season specifically, it just seems like he's been really motivated to go against, you know, whoever they throw at him in this matchup.
Yeah, but even going back to OG's Raptors days, Tatum always felt comfortable against him. I mean, this is going back to the bubble years. So, you know, they loaded up with Bridges and OG to try to stop these wings. And OG, I love him as a player. I mean, he's, you know, one of the best wing defenders in the league. It's just, for whatever reason, he struggles with Tatum, and Tatum's just comfortable against him.
Even though Tatum's not the most athletic, he is a little quick for OG a bit. I think and he also takes it super personal as well.
Yeah, like it feels like the personal factor has something to do with it. Let me get your thoughts, Steve, on defensively for the Celtics in the series. I know they're always seal hunting. They're always hunting those matchups. Do you think this is a series where you just let Brunson take 30 shots, or is it try to get the ball out of Brunson's hands, try to make the Bridges of the world beat you, or is it going to be more of the same where if you can cook us for 50, we're probably still pretty comfortable with trying to win that game?
I think it's the latter. I think you got to let Brunson cook a bit. I just think it's better when we're staying home, because then we could just funnel him, because he wants to go to the hoop really, you know, with that step back a little bit. And we don't have to worry about the other guys. You know, even though you have Hot that you could sag off on, and you just let him shoot above the break threes, you stay home on your corner 3-point guys. But I think you just let him kind of go off. And I don't really think he will go off that much. Like, obviously, the fouls, he draws so much fouls with his crafty play. Even though he's a foul baiter, he is really good at it. Flopper. So I think it's flopper, you could call him that. But for the most part, I think it's kind of you let him do his thing and then stay home and everyone else. Similar to like what we've done to Luka and all the other big stars, Giannis and things of that nature.
It's an interesting match. I mean, Drew.
Let me ask you this, Joel. Did you start off, because I feel like in the regular season there was Drew on Cat. I mean, is that what you go with here, and JB on Brunson?
So we should just cross our fingers. Drew's going to be good to go on this, right?
Yeah,
I mean, I think you know.
Let's go with that assumption.
I mean, I think you got to put Drew on Brunson to start. I think it was a fun thing to do on the first game. You know, they'll switch and he'll probably pick him up, but I think that's the matchup you got to start with, and you probably are going to put KP on Hart and let him, you know, roam a little bit, and you know, then you know, but they'll probably all get a shot at Brunson. Yeah. I mean, he's just, you know, he's all of their offense really. So that's the luxury that Boston has, is they can throw, you know, 3, 4, maybe get up to 5 different guys that will guard him during the game, and they all have different strengths, you know. So
I also I wonder about when they're doing their switching, because bringing up Cat to the ball with Brunson on it, and then maybe Tatum's on him at that point, and then they switch. Cat last time was 14 for 21. He had 34 points, 14 rebounds in the last meeting that went into OT, and he was kind of dominating a little bit. So I'm going to see if they're going to try to go with Tatum there sometimes, but mostly try to, you know, keep him off of him a little bit, just because he's also going to be our engine on offense as well. So you don't want to have a lot of fouls on him and, you know, really stall our offense if he's, you know, off the floor. So I am going to be interested in see what that matchup is, because you do want KP on Hot. You just want that. Right. And I think you need to have Drew on Brunson.
Yeah, that's a bad omen for the Knicks. I forgot he was 14 of 21 in that last game, and the Celtics still pulled that one out in overtime. I mean, for me, the only way the Knicks, you know, like it's let Brunson go off and stay home on other guys, because the only way they can outscore the Celtics, I feel like, is Cat going off, especially from 3. And if Brunson's drawing doubles and you get Cat rolling early, I mean, the Knicks can put up 120, and that's their only shot, because we know their defensive issues, it's going to be tough for them to keep the Celtics, away from 110, 120.
Yeah. One thing I'm interested in is this new defensive Peyton Pritchard, and like what he's going to be, because it's not that he hasn't been able to do that in the past, but it really feels like a focus here going into the playoffs. And he mentioned it, I think, during the season, talking about just not wanting to be a defensive liability in the playoffs. And he held up in Orlando, and he was overmatched size-wise, pretty much everybody he picked up.
Mm-hmm.
And he's an interesting guy to throw at Brunson as well. He does
I agree.
His strengths are. It's funny. Brunson is small, but he really gets to his shots through footwork, through using his shoulder to get into you, and he's not the type of guy that usually gets his shot blocked, because he's baiting you into fouls and stuff. And Pritchard usually does his work early. He's trying to beat you to the spot. He's picking you up full court. He's pressuring you. So I don't know. I think I wouldn't be surprised if Peyton gets a lot of minutes guarding Brunson in this series as well. We'll see how that goes, but
it comes down to discipline, defensive discipline. You got to make sure, just like when you're playing Jimmy Butler or any other player that plays off 2 feet, you can't be going for the head fakes, any of that kind of stuff. So I think that's a great call. I think Peyton will draw that assignment, and I think he'll do well.
Right. I think it's a big Pritchard series, and just to piggyback off that, I mean, what about the bench matchups here? Like, I feel like Pritchard, Luke, this is a big bench series so I think all those guys can play. I think they're tough matchups for the Knicks, and the Knicks, I mean, it doesn't get talked about a lot, but their bench stinks, man. Like, they don't have much there. It's Cam Payne and Deuce McBride, who I guess Mitchell Robinson comes off the bench now.
Shamet?
Yeah, so Landry Shamet going to get playoff minutes? No chance. I mean, I don't know. So what are your thoughts, Joel, on – I mean, I guess we just got your Pritchard thoughts, but the bench matchups.
Yeah, there's another subplot to this that if Drew is healthy and starting, Al Horford coming off the bench, but Al and Cat go way back to Dominican. They played on the same national team together. Mm-hmm. Their families are close. There's a real sort of I think Cat calls him his big brother. I mean, there's a real sort of thing that's there, and they've never faced each other in the playoffs, obviously. So that will be an interesting sort of subplot with, I think Al will probably match up with him a lot, depending on what the rotations are. But, and if they go double big, there's probably a natural place for Horford to guard as well. So.
Yeah, that is interesting. I don't know. I'm an older brother, so anytime I play my younger brothers, I like to dominate them and mercilessly, run up the score. So hopefully Al taps into that a little bit.
Right. I feel like it's a big Luke series for me too. I mean,
I hope so. I'm hoping for Luke.
He felt like I mean, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but he felt like he dominated the Knicks during the regular season, and just getting Tatum into the pick and roll. I mean, pretty much anyone in the pick and roll, and Luke's so good at diving hard to the rim, and it's just the Knicks have no good answer for that. And even if the Knicks try to go double big, I don't see how they can go double big with the way the Celtics have, pretty much always have 4 or 5 guys that can beat you off the dribble. So I'm looking for a big Luke series.
Yeah, I mean, Luke in the third to last game, double-double, 14 points, 12 rebounds, plus 21, 7-7 from the field. He was doing work. The other one's not so much of a scoring output, but I think this is what also helps Tatum as well, unlock him. Luke's screen setting on the angles really helps Tatum navigate and go down. Now he's playing 4-on-3, 3-on-2s. And it depends on how the Knicks are going to be doing their peel screening. Either they're going to, have 2 on the ball for a second, whether they're hedging or not, and then that makes that 4-on-3s or 3-on-2s, like I just said, or that they're going to be dropping how they normally play. And then Luke is such a great roller, and he has such great decision making, and in such a short amount of time that I think we'll be able to spray the ball out pretty well. So I really hope it's a Luke game. I'm a big Luke advocate, so I think you're right. I think that could be a main X factor for us.
Was that the game that Porzingis was a late scratch? and Luke
I
started.
think so. And that
Yes.
was the one that Tatum dunked on Precious Achua like first
Yeah.
possession, and he
Okay.
really dominated that
Yeah,
game.
KP was a late scratch on that one.
Yeah. Okay.
What are your thoughts, Joel, on Porzingis in this matchup? And what are your, because we got into this last pod a little bit. I'm a little angry at my man KP. I need him to, as I say, I need him to prove to me that he's a 16-game player. We know he's a regular season player. And, get back to storylines too a little bit. KP always seems to get up for this, drafted by the Knicks.
Yeah.
He loves playing in MSG. He killed him the first game of the year last year. He's killed him a couple times this year. So what are your thoughts on him this series, and what are your thoughts on him overall?
Yeah, I really thought the Orlando series was going to be a big series for him. I thought, there's going to be a quarter every game where he's just going to take over. And it just never happened. I don't know if he was just too amped up. I mean, he was just missing bunnies. He was, missing free throws. It seemed to be in his head a little bit. And, he really was not a part of it last year. And I know that's probably gnawed at him a little bit and got him, where he's been focused on this. He wants to, be a part. He wants to prove that he's a 16-game guy. But this feels like a great matchup for him again. I mean, it's tailor-made. I mean, he's had some great games there. He knows, Madison Square Garden like the back of his hand. He played there, was drafted there. So, I think they're going to need him. They're definitely going to need him. And, I mean, they may not need him to have big games to win this series, but they're going to need him if they advance. They're going to definitely need him in the coming round. So he's got to sort of, I think, just settle in. And when he gets the matchup, just be able to, make the shot. I think he was looking for fouls a little bit too much against Orlando. Just, he was getting fouled, but they weren't calling it. And it's just, he was a little rattled, but they had to run some specific plays just to get him going, which was not, that's fine. And it did. I mean, he was getting some, some cuts, some dunks, off of rolling to the basket and stuff. But I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I think this is a big series for him.
Yeah, I mean, last game he played 34 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 8 for 13 from 3, 11, 19 from the field. It really just comes down to how they play that pick and pop, and then how productive he is on his shooting. And then I think, what they did, like you just mentioned, Joel, is running some set plays for him, curling to the basket, not necessarily catching at the free throw line, and then having the other guys converging him or hedging over, so then he doesn't really know what to do. And then that split second, that hesitation changes, it just clogs up the whole offense. And then now we're just all staring at KP at the free throw line trying to make a jumper. So I'm a little disappointed as well. The shooting needs to come back, but like you said, he's a WWE guy. He loves for the theatrics of what Madison Square Garden brings, and I think he'll be up for it. Yeah, 100%. I agree with that.
Right, and like you said, it's such a good matchup for him. The Knicks just have no good way to defend the Celtics. They have too many seals out there with Cat and Brunson have to be out there a lot for them to keep up with the Celtics, and it's just there's no way to defend all 5 of those guys. He feels like he could always get that 28-footer off against the Knicks, and like you said, he was 8 for 13 from 3 last game. Steve, jeez, forgot about that.
It's brutal.
So I mean,
for them.
And like you said, Joel, I want to see him get into a rhythm. Like Orlando was big and strong and physical, and they got into his head, and it felt like those bunnies, those mid-rangers that he usually is shooting 50, 60% on, he was shooting 25% on in this series. So I'd like to see him, because like you said, Cleveland, OKC, or whoever comes out of the West, you might not need huge KP games against the Knicks, but you're not beating Cleveland without KP playing well.
Right.
You're not winning another title without KP playing well. So get your rhythm. There should be, a lot of open looks. There's no way they can defend you. I mean, give Corey Joseph and Anthony Black credit. They're kind of big, sturdy. They're not big, but they're sturdier and got up underneath them. I mean, Brunson's 6 feet tall. This guy can't affect your shot. If Campaign's out there, you got to punish him every time. Deuce McBride, it shouldn't be an issue for KP.
Even Mikal Bridges, he's light in the ass. Like he could just, I would love to see a power dribble. Or like, how Tatum makes that separation, he has his pivot foot and then he swings that other foot forward just to make that separation. Like if KP could just make a little bit more there to free up that space, even though he's so tall and he can shoot everyone, just not make it as contested. And another thing I really want to see, and it's always the case, because I really do think the Celtics are the best team, even more than OKC, is we're gonna beat ourselves if anything goes wrong, right? Are we going to turn the ball over? Are we not going to Are we not going to rebound? Are we going to settle for certain shots that aren't the highest percentage? Just not going with the script of Missoula ball of getting the best shot available.
Last year, Derek White and Porzingis, I think they were the most efficient pick and roll combo, top 5 at least. I know it. I don't know if they finished number 1, but for a long point of last year, they were one of the top pick and roll duos in the NBA. And, that's where they went. I think it was game 4 against Orlando. They started really just spamming that play over and over. And, I don't know, depending on where Drew is at with that, but that's really a play I could see being super effective again. Just getting Derek and Porzingis, in some action together. That seems to work.
No, for sure. And it's so funny. Derek White was 25 for 46, which is 54.3% from the field goal. He's 19 for 35, coincidentally, 54.3% from the three-point line. So I definitely think that they get a bunch of good looks with that two-man action and spamming that a little bit.
Yeah, and Brunson's, in theory, probably going to be on Derek White. So if you're running pick and roll with Derek and KP, if they switch that, it should be an easy 2 every time. So, I do like that action. Another, it's just, there's so many ways the Celtics can beat the Knicks because we haven't even touched on Jalen Brown. And there's not, if OG is guarding Tatum, I mean, either way, they're going to get Brown in advantageous positions. And it's just, there's so many guys he can hunt on that roster too, especially in the non-Tatum minutes. And when those Knicks bench guys are in there, he's too big and he's too physical for, pretty much everybody except Anunoby on that roster.
Yeah.
So, I feel like it can be a big Jalen series. It can go a lot of different ways, and that's why I hate to just, actually, I'll take that back. I love to trash on the Knicks, but part of me as a fan wants a series that's compelling. And Orlando was a compelling series in the sense that they could physically match up with us. It's just outside of the Knicks going crazy from 3 and the Celtics, shooting variance being bad, it's tough to see where they exploit this team.
There's always a curveball though. There's always something, whether, knock on wood, injuries or somebody gets hot or just something, so they've, the Mitchell Robinson thing is not really something they've had to deal with a lot during the regular season. So there's some things that I'm sure New York has saved up that, I would not, it wouldn't shock me if New York comes out and just, has a 40-point quarter, and just is whoa, where'd that come from? And really, catches Boston off guard. Now, there's obviously ways you can, combat that and adjust, but every series sort of takes on a life of its own. So
right.
I almost get too nervous with, I got some Knicks friends and they just are resigned. And I just man, the NBA playoffs are never easy. It's never as easy as, people think it's going to be.
No,
right.
For sure.
And the Mitchell Robinson thing, that might be the path for them that I'm most, I think that could give us trouble. He's maybe the best offensive rebounder in the league. And to get back to Porzingis, I think he had 1 rebound in game 4 or game 5. He doesn't want to get pushed around under there. So, can the Knicks win on the margins? Can they get 10, 11, 12 offensive rebounds? And then, their shot margins, they're taking a lot more shots than us. And maybe that's the way that it's a close game in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, Brunson, getting free throw, a bunch of free throws. It's called tight. He's getting the calls or getting offensive rebound. It really is going to be a Missoula margins, sort of thing. I mean, that's if Boston's healthy and does, the things that they, accustomed to doing, it should go their way. But, it's they won a lot of games this year as well. So
right,
true, very true. So how are we feeling about JB's knee? Not a lot has come out since, their initial report, and obviously he's got that injection, and, at times he looks athletic and other times a little bit laboring. So what have you seen, Joel, that, could sway you either way on his health?
I mean, we just got to kind of trust that they're managing it right. I mean, he's looked good to me though. I mean, I don't, he's not taking, I mean, the Orlando series was such a slugfest that it's hard to really, it wasn't the type of series that, a lot of up and down, like, Jalen out, getting a bunch of fast break, opportunities. So it's a little bit hard to say if it's lateral movement, if it's some of that is hindered, but I mean, he seemed good. I thought the game where I think he went 9 for 10 from the free throw line that one game. And that, I mean, he just looked locked in. Like he just really looked like he was, like, okay, it's playoffs. And the game Tatum missed, I mean, it was one of his best games, of his career probably. I mean, he was incredible. So, I mean, I think we just have to hope that they're managing it right and that he's getting better. And, there's always going to be a point where they're going to need him. I mean, they wouldn't have won last year without him, obviously. And I've always sort of felt like he's the difference. Like he's the guy. They're a great team, but he's the guy that makes them a champion. Like when he's great, it just puts them at a whole nother level.
Agreed. Like we said, I mean, I've always said he is your prototypical 16-game guy. You want to go to war with Jalen Brown. He's gonna, do whatever it takes to win. He doesn't need to. If he just takes 8 shots in a playoff game, he'll be fine with it. If he got to take 25, he'll be fine with it. But Steve, for me, with Jalen's knee, I'll be interested. It felt like a lot of times they put him on Brunson, and Orlando doesn't have that quick point guard that. I mean, Jalen was great defensively in that series, but they're a little more slow-footed. So I'll be interested to see in Game 1 if he's on Brunson, and if he is on Brunson, can he stay in front of those quicker, shiftier guys? Because I guess we haven't really seen it since the injury, and Orlando wasn't a team that could exploit it. Because I mean, it'll be important going forward against the Garland or the Mitchell or a Shea or whoever else we get coming up.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think he looked pretty decent. He's had explosive plays. I think he likes to reserve sometimes when, he's off ball. That's the only thing I worry about if he's going to be covering, OG or Mikhail or or Hot. They like to cut a lot, so it can't be getting lost with off-ball defense. It's the only thing I worry about with this team, really.
Another thing I want to point out from the Pistons series, which, like, you get Brunson, clutch player of the year or whatever you want to call it. But, man, they blow leads like nobody's business, dude. Like, that series was brutal. They were up 15, 20. It seemed like every game, and it was just, like, gone in a second. And if you're a Knicks fan, that's such a bad omen for the Celtics because there's just not – the Pistons don't have the scorers that we do. It feels like even if the Knicks come out Game 1 and blitz us early, it's like, we've seen this team just blow leads like crazy. So, I mean,
that whole series seemed like it was just one run leading into another run. I mean, it was, 10-0 run, 20 run. I mean, it was over and over, just one run after another.
Yeah, it was nuts. Another thing I want to I don't know, this is just a weird Jalen Brunson. Not that I'm a hater. I kind of am a hater on Jalen Brunson, but the Clutch Player of the Year award thing, does this annoy anybody else that, like, you can only win that award if you're on, like, a kind of mediocre team because you're playing in more close games during the regular season? You know what I'm saying? Like,
explain that. I'll be honest. The awards are I just almost tune out half the award chatter because it just feels like it's I don't know. It just always evolves into some sort of argument that is not important. But explain the Clay. Is it based off of numbers or is it okay?
I think Brunson led the league in clutch points.
And so you just automatically win this award when you have the most clutch points. Is that the way, or is it
I guess, but it's also like a weird thing because, I mean, the whole clutch stat thing for me is weird because it's just game's got to be within 5 points in the last 5 minutes. But if I mean, it's 20-25 and a 10-point lead with 5 minutes left. It is a close game in the NBA nowadays. So it's like if Jason Tatum hits a 3 when a team cuts it to 8, is that not a clutch play? Or if there's sometimes the most clutch play of the game is stopping a run at the 7.5 minute mark.
Right.
So it's strange to me that it's just a weird award, and it's like, you know, like a guy like Shea or like the Celtics, Cavs, and OKC. Those guys are eliminated from this award because they were blitzing everybody by 20 points.
Right.
So it's like you're kind of punishing those guys where it's not like they weren't making clutch plays. You know what I mean? It's just a strange award.
I couldn't figure out, and I didn't really care enough to research if it was something that it's almost like you've just the scoring champion or something, like you've just scored the most points in clutch, so you're the clutch player of the year or something like that, or if it was actually something people voted on. So
yeah, I think it's kind of basically comes down to those numbers, which is strange to me. So
yeah.
I mean, I guess Brunson in the last few minutes will kind of scare me. He does always seem to like have that knack to make a big play.
I mean, that play on Asar Thompson last night was pretty crazy.
Yeah, that was crazy. I mean, I don't know why they took out Asar Thompson with like 3.5 minutes left last night. That was just an insane move to me. They were up 7, and I think they went on like an 8-0 run right away when he came out of the game.
Yeah, brutal. Should we do a little schadenfreude?
Sure. What do you got?
It's just wonderful to see the Doughboy and the King go down. LA Lakers in shambles. LeBron already on his shit, being like, oh, my boy AD said exactly what we needed, and they shipped his ass out. So I'm just real happy. It couldn't happen to a better fan base. I don't know. I said this before. Luka, what's it going to take for him to get in shape, be committed on the defensive side? We know how wonderful he is on offense, but we'll see. And then LeBron, how many more years does he have at playing elite ball? We've seen throughout the regular season he likes to coast a bit. When he turns it on defense, he could get to that fastball a little bit, but I don't know. And then that team has many defensive holes. Also, Austin Reeves, everyone was saying he was maybe the third best option in the league.
Come on.
Definitely not anymore. That was pretty well displayed right there. And then they need some center help. So it's just obviously the Luka trade is kind of tough in the middle of the season, and they're hoping for next year to be like the real year. But everyone was crowning them, and then they said they had the best defense until they played the Celtics, and the Celtics humbled them real quick, and then their defense, trailed off because they were playing shit opponents. So it's just great to see that. That's all I want to say. Screw the Lakers.
I'm always going to celebrate Lakers losing. Joel, what are your thoughts real quick on Luka? Because it's such a complicated argument, and like I don't think I've never argued that he's a bad player. He's a top 10 guy, like probably right around 8 to 10 for me. But like the defense and the effort just has to be a thing to some of these national writers, and I don't see it. Like I don't see him get the hate that I think he deserves.
Yeah, I wonder if he's such a ball dominant player on offense, and he's great. But he's always, I don't know how to say it. Maybe there's just eventually he'll get there, but he's always run into someone in the playoffs. Every year that he's been beaten in the playoffs, he's looked great until a certain matchup. And then when he can't crack that matchup, it's like the series isn't even competitive. I mean, They looked great last year until they met the Celtics. Tatum guarding the center kind of cut off that pet play they were running. And basically it was over. I mean, he could, they won in 5. And the same thing happened a few years ago. They made the Western Conference Finals against, who was that? Golden State?
The Warriors, I think, right?
Warriors, yeah. And they looked great. And then they got there. Golden State could guard that pet play. And once again, it was over in 5. So maybe it's just like if he didn't get that matchup, like let's say if the Celtics stumbled last year and they played,
Pacers.
the Pacers, maybe he'd be a champion right now. That matchup would have been something that. So I don't know if it's just completely matchup based and we're judging it off that, and maybe eventually he'll be able to figure it out. They're stuck with him though. I mean, obviously they've hoping to re-sign him, I assume, so
unless he walks.
they're gonna have to build around him, and maybe that's just the way every contender is going to be. Like you got to hope that you are going to get the right matchups, in the playoffs where your weaknesses are not going to be exposed.
Agreed, and that's why I argue with Seth Partnow and Blue Sky and whatnot, and he's like kind of disingenuous about the whole thing. Like it's no one saying Luka's bad, but the top 5 to 7 guys in the league, like you just said, Joel, they're matchup proof. No matter who they're playing, they're never a massive weak link that you have to hide the entire game. And for me, it's just that Luka gets put in this tier. He's just like, some of these analysts are just like, oh, he's top 3. He's top 3 guy. Like he's Luka. He's awesome. And he's probably the best offensive player, maybe number 2. But he's not matchup proof. And like you said, he always seems to hit these, if everything goes right for him in the playoffs, then yeah, you can win with Luka, absolutely, and you can make finals runs, absolutely. But if you get the wrong matchup, he'll simultaneously be the reason you're in the finals, and while also being the reason you have no shot in the finals. And that's what he was last year, and that's kind of what he was against the Wolves just the other day. It was like they just went at him every time, and some years you're gonna get different matchups, and he's gonna be fine. You can hide him on whoever, but if you go through the list of Giannis, Jokic, Tatum, Edwards, like those guys, you're not
Shea.
You can't just go at those guys every single time and completely take your team out of the equation defensively.
And so it's just I think you could build around. The weird thing about the Lakers this year is you've got to, I think, very specifically build around a player like him. And, fill out your roster to try to compensate for whatever weaknesses he has. And just the way that it was thrown together this year, it's probably not a great, sort of way to look at it. And it'd been interesting if Dallas had stayed the course because, one of the reasons Boston beat them so handily is they couldn't hit an outside shot and they went and got Clay.
Right.
And so, but, we'll never know.
Right.
It's like, would that have been a recipe that they could have won with? We'll never know. So,
I mean, we didn't ever hear about blow by rate until Luka was getting torched in the finals, and then now that's like a constant thing that's held against him. So, yeah, I definitely think you need to have shooters around him. You need an athletic rim running big. Obviously, a big that can shoot would be great too, but that's kind of hard to find. We've gone over it many times. It's Al. It's Miles Turner and like a couple other ones that are still like somewhat in their prime years. Al's always in his prime, so I don't have to describe that to anybody else. 38, 28 doesn't matter for him. But he definitely needs those type of archetype players for him to be successful. And it's just like anyone else, right? Tatum has a great team as well. Shea has a great team. Edwards has a great team. It's just they got to play to his strengths a lot more than, what they've compiled together. And the jury's out if it's able to be with LeBron and Luka.
Agreed. You guys got anything else to add? Well, let's get serious predictions actually before we go. Joel, what's the prediction of the series?
I mean, I guess Celtics in 5. I mean, that's the seems to be the thing that everyone's
the betting favorite.
Yeah, I mean, I Celtics in 5 is what I'll say.
I'll give the Knicks a magnet ball game and say Celtics in 5 as well.
I'm gonna say it's a sweep, man. Celtics are gonna get up for this, and I hate to say I always predict 5 games, but I just don't see how the Knicks and the way Tatum looks this year, the way the whole MSG thing of being in New York, it's a real thing. Players get up for it. KP gets up for it. Tatum loves playing there, so like I'm always like, all right, they'll win one. on the road, the Celtics will drop one. But I don't know. Like in MSG, like guys like playing there. Celtics in 4.
Wow,
like
love
it.
it.
I like
Book it.
I like
Book it.
All right,
Before
guys,
we go, you can find our boy Joel. He is Please Rewind on Blue Sky or at joelvideo.producer.blue. He's a great follow. Please do so. You'll see us interacting with him all the time on there.
like,
Very
subscribe, find us on Blue Sky, and maybe we'll have Joel back soon. A couple games into the series.
Right on.
We'll catch you guys
All right.
soon.
Deuces.